pretty much they have that mindset where they just do it strictly for the money. Whether or not they have a family to support, that's really not really on their minds most of the time, which is unfortunate, but that's what money does to people. But yeah, and those musicians who are in it solely for the money, I've noticed, they're the ones that, usually just end up spending the rest of their lives just playing at a lot of local dive bars and, which is fine if that's what they want to do. But I don't know, I think I kind of lost my train of thought, getting back to, for me, I'm not in it for the money. For example, for some time, for a couple of years, I played in a cover band. And for those of you, if you don't know what a cover band is, it's, when you go to a bar and a band is playing a bunch of songs that are usually popular songs by other musicians. Usually they'll play it say something like say you go to a bar and a band is playing Black Sabbath stuff or Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple or Iron Maiden, Metallica. That's a cover band, because they're not playing any original songs. They're not playing any songs that they wrote themselves. That's what a cover band is. So yeah, I played in a cover band for a while. Although I will admit that I was kind of talked into doing it, and but after a while, it got very tiresome. It got very stale, and even though we did get paid somewhat regularly. In fact, I remember at one point we got paid enough that I was able to, buy myself some new clothes and buy a new DVD player and a new TV and all that, which was great, and I still have those things today. But then eventually it just got to the point where it became too boring, too stale, and whatnot. Although, because I know a lot of people, they tend to think of, when they think of a musician, they think that, we're just in it for the money, we're just in it for the fame, or we're in it for some kind of benefit other than just playing music. And which I understand why most people tend to think that way. Again, because we live in a capitalist society. We live in a society in which if we can't benefit monetarily from something, monetarily or financially from something, then it's pretty much like, most people tend to think, well, then why do it at all? And unfortunately, when it comes to being a musician, people tend to think in the same way. But I could go on and on about this. So essentially what I'm trying to get is, not all musicians are in it strictly for the money. And I don't consider myself to be one of those musicians that are in it just for the money or just for any kind of fame or recognition. Although, obviously, I'm not going to lie and say that those things aren't great. But everything else is secondary when the primary focus for me, and for other musicians too, but it's not the primary focus for those who do it solely for the money. But the primary focus for me is the music. Because, that makes sense. Why? Even say if there's a cover band who's able to play, say, like every song from Black Sabbath or every song from Led Zeppelin And even if they're able to play all these songs like so accurate and so perfect that, they sound like the actual bands themselves. I mean, yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome thing to see and hear and all that. But at the same time, it's like all they're doing is imitating, copying. And, really they're not, they have nothing original to offer. And, and I don't mean anything bad by that, but, I guess maybe I do kind of. But so I'm sorry, I seem to be going on different tangents here, but yeah. But, really what what it boils down to is the way that I see it is, what's the point of copying somebody? What's the point of imitating somebody? Even if you can do it so perfectly, so accurately, that you say even get mistaken for being that actual person or that actual musician or that actual artist. Even if you get to that point, you're still just imitating. You're still just copying. You're still, you're still not creating your own thing, still not creating anything original, still not, expressing your own voice. And that's why, for me, that's why I play the guitar. That's why I create music. For the sake of creating music, for the sake of creating something original, putting it out there for people to listen to. If they like it, great. If they don't like it, great. That's great too. Because at the same time, I'm still going to keep on creating music. Still going to play the guitar. Still going to create and write music. Still going to write other stuff. Still going to want to collaborate with other musicians, record with other musicians, play with other bands. And, it's not because, even if, say, I end up with some band that is already really established and really well known and played on the radio practically 24/7. Even if something like that happens, but I end up joining them because of the fact that I like, the chemistry we have, or because of the fact that I like being a part of the songwriting process, just writing, just being able to write awesome original music. And, if I'm able to do that with a band that it is already pretty well known, then yeah, I'm going to do that. But at the same time, if they don't have all that, even if it's just me and like 4 or 5 other guys that I just happened to meet one day, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to be psyched to be able to write original music, create original music, put something original out there, share it with people, share it with as many people as possible. Because for me, that's what being a musician is all about. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If it was about the money, then I wouldn't be a musician. Then I'm pretty sure a lot of other musicians would say the same thing. For me, again, if I wanted to be a musician solely for the money, I wouldn't be a musician. It's as simple as that. I'd be an economist, or I don't know, I'd be a banker, an investor of some kind, I don't know, or even just something where I get to be around money all day. But again, that's not my aim. That's not my primary focus. For me, my primary focus is writing, creating, music. And that's why I'm a musician. So I get to do that as much as possible. At the same time, yes, it does mean sacrificing a lot of other things. That's another thing, too, that I want to bring up. I think maybe I'll talk about it in more detail a little later on, but I guess I'll just briefly touch upon it, too. Aside from performing and writing original music and all that, there are, there are a lot of really cool stuff that comes with being a musician, but there's a lot of sacrifices that come with it too. And that's the other thing too. That's what ends up really separating and defining the real diehard dedicated musicians. And yeah, it does mean, not being able to hold down a steady job. It does mean not being able to afford expensive things. It does mean not being able to. What else is it? Well, in other words, it does mean not being able to spend time focused on other things. Especially, if you're a really dedicated musician. So it's not all fun and games, but that's what I'm trying to get at. And unfortunately, it can be hard. It's a difficult thing to try to make people understand, especially if they're not a musician themselves. Or even if they don't consider themselves to be any kind of creative or artistic person. Though I do believe that really anybody can be. But obviously it depends on the individual. But yeah, it's a hard thing to explain to somebody. That's why, even for me, to this day, I still have a difficult time explaining it to my family members, even to my close friends. Because yeah, even though they see me up on stage performing and having an awesome time, a lot of what they don't see is me spending a lot of time, writing songs and writing songs on my own, but also writing songs with other musicians, being in the studio, spending countless hours in the studio, recording and re-recording stuff. And but again, I do that because I love to do that. That's what I love to do. That's what being a musician is all about. And again, that's how Prince lived his life. That's how so many other musicians before him lived their lives too. And it will continue going on. At the same time, the music of Prince, just like music of so many other talented musicians who passed away, the music will always live on. And because really, when you really think about it, when you really think about it, music never dies. Music is one of those things that has the ability to transcend time and space and really all boundaries. Music has the ability to live on forever, really. As human beings, we're going to try to negate that. We're going to try to say, well, no, this and this could happen, or this and that could happen. And, but really, none of us really knows for sure. So, that's why I say, because we know that we as humans are incapable of immortality, but music itself, music and art, literature, these are things that have the ability to be immortal. So, yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Running out of time here. Thanks for tuning in. Rest in peace, Prince. And till next episode, keep it real and peace.